Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, where we're always trying to share some hopefully helpful lifestyle, some nutrition, some exercise, some toxicity-based tips to help you reach your overall body transformation, but overall wellness goals as well. Because I'm a firm believer now, after 20 plus years working with people, 25 years or so, is the understanding that there is no one thing that's going to be the silver bullet that gets you well or helps you lose the weight. And if you want to take the weight off, there's a lot of shortcuts that will work for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe a couple months, but they'll never last. So in the end, it's eventually just saying, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing these plans that never pan out. They never work in the long run. So what we're going to teach you here today, and like super fast, super simple, that's what yesterday's show I wanted to be as well, is like, what should you do for intermittent fasting? Like, what time should it start? And I just gave you like right to it. I'm gonna do the same thing here today. It's only controversial if you look at it as the end all be all. This is the starting point. This is the best place to start with two essentially food groups to eat for wellness and weight loss. And then you can add on to it. But if it doesn't start here, it's gonna be really challenging to get the results you want. All right, so we're gonna just talk about nutrition here today. So if you are looking to get well or lose weight, because there's so much in common, even if you don't need to lose weight. What do you need? You need balanced inflammation, right? You can't have unchecked levels of inflammation. Unchecked levels of inflammation are going to allow for whatever poor genetic mutations or single nucleotide polymorphism expressions, if you want to use that, right, to manifest. So then you end up with the autoimmune issue or any disease of your name. Again, name any disease. Same with weight loss. It's the same thing. If you're inflamed, okay, higher levels of cortisol, higher levels of estrogen, higher levels of weight gain, right? It's an issue. But what else do you need besides controlling inflammation? You need to control blood sugar. You have to control glucose. You are not going to get well. It doesn't matter if it's your adrenals, your thyroid, your brain, anything. You can't do it if you don't have balanced blood sugar. You can't. And there's really no chance of keeping the weight off or losing the weight if you have dysregulated blood sugar. Same for mood, same for anxiety, depression, like anything. You have to have balanced blood sugar. So I could go on and on about all the different metrics of disease, the central nervous system, et cetera. All that matters. And central nervous system, we could add into this as well, because these two food groups are the starting point. So they help with the central nervous system. They help with blood sugar. They help with inflammation. All right, that's what we have to look at. Okay, so what foods then, if we're thinking about it, what foods are going to squelch inflammation and balance blood sugar? What two foods, right? So a lot of people right away would say, well, we're going to go on a keto-based diet. And I would say, well, not so fast, right? Because you are not necessarily fixing all of the inflammatory issues. And if you don't believe that, then you need to look into what are called lipopolysaccharides, which can shuttle bacteria outside of the gut. You can look at ApoE4 genotypes and a lot more. So it's not that I think fat is bad. I'm not saying that at all. I would say that if you are on a higher fat diet or more on the side of mono unsaturated fats, because you just may not know your actual alleles, your ApoE genotype, which I talked about, let's see how many podcasts ago. And again, if you ever can't find a podcast, just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. I believe it's episode 2342, 2349. Yeah, there's been a bunch that I've talked about it. So I would definitely just reach out to the team if you're ever looking for one. And you know what? I'll do this today. We'll link them up at 2385, StephenCabral.com/2385. All right. So again, no problems, right? No problems with healthy fats, especially your olives, olive oil, your avocados, etc. But that is not going to give you the level of satiety, the level of metabolism for your muscles that you want for weight loss as well. And it's not going to give you the ability to move out of a catabolic state, which is your body breaking down because it's under so much inflammation. So what I want to do is cut right to the chase. It is protein and it is fiber-based foods. Now, you might say, well, that leaves that way open for interpretation. It does. but it also enables you to be plant-based, pescatarian, vegetarian, ovo-lacto, although there'd be a whole lot more fat in that, and paleo or primal-based, however you want to look at it, with getting in your protein. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat to the protein before we get to the fiber, and I'm going to tell you why they work so well. So first things first, protein works incredibly well because it's going to keep you satiated better than any other food group. The only way that it keeps you more satiated is if you add fiber. And we've talked about that on many shows. But I'm going to get to that in just a moment because protein has a lot of downsides as well. So protein, though, is going to be used to create a healing environment. Protein is what's needed for the immune systems, muscles, tissues, etc. Right? You need all that for your hair, your skin, your nails. We talked about that on previous shows. You need it for your immune system. You can't be in a catabolic state. You cannot wear yourself down and expect to have a robust immune system. All right? Protein's also going to do what? It's going to level out blood sugar levels unless you overdo it at one meal, and then it will spike blood sugar levels. That's the truth. And again, you can test that on your own as well. So we need protein at a meal. If it's unabated, it could, if to a high degree, especially if it's like a big steak or whey protein, could spike your blood sugar levels. Doesn't do it everybody, but again, you can check using a continuous glucometer or even just a finger stick as well. So protein is vital. Why is it also vital for weight loss? Again, stabilization of blood sugar, keeps you satiated so you're not overeating, but also there's a thermogenic effect of food. So it's not a perfect number, but for every 100 calories you take in of protein, about 30 calories are burned up in the actual digestion of protein, the thermogenic effect of breaking down protein. It takes a lot of energy. So what is the downside? Well, a lot of people actually stop eating meat and other animal-based products because they get bloated when they eat them. That's usually a digestive issue, right? So that's not enough stomach acid because you might have stomach acid issues or you're on acid blockers. In that case, then it's not good, right? And so you need to figure out why you have the highest stomach acid in the first place, and no, you can't blame genetics. So there's that aspect to it, but you may need then, again, ginger tea or a little apple cider vinegar and water, or you might need some daily digestive enzymes or some betaine HCl, but you need to be able to break down that protein. But the good thing is you don't even get as many calories eating protein. So if you're looking to lose weight, you can definitely stay a lot more satiated. So it works really, really well. The second part to that, well, let me give you one downside. There's a few downsides of protein. So again, I like to give you an unbiased perspective. One is if you overdo your protein, you definitely put yourself at greater risk for cancer between about the ages of 30 and 60 years old. This is well proven. Like beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's well proven. I did a whole podcast called The Mounting Evidence Against Meat. Now, again, if you don't know what I'm all about, you might think that I'm against meat. I'm not. I'm against overdoing meat, right? Overdoing it. If you go back thousands of years, we can already see, hey, the people who ate the most meat didn't live the longest lives. And you might say, well, there's these tribes over here and over here eating a predominantly meat diet. Look up their average life expectancy. It's around 67 years old. Again, like I have no dog in the race. I just want you to know that. I'm trying to push that 100 plus, right? That's my goal. It starts now, many, many years before. So do I eat protein? Yes. 100% I do, right? Do I eat meat? Yes, I do. Do I eat fish? Yes. Do I eat all of these things? I do. There's an upper limit. I'm going to link up today as well, the Mounting Evidence Against Meat. It goes over what % of your diet should be up to in protein. Now, again, being unbiased, if you are looking to put on a lot of muscle, eating more protein works better. There's no doubt about it. Eating a gram per pound of body weight or body weight that you want to be does work. I'm not going to say it didn't. When I got up to 200 pounds doing natural bodybuilding at only 5'8", it worked. I was eating 280 to 300 grams of protein a day. Too much. Didn't feel that great, but it worked to put on muscle. That's for sure. Wasn't the only thing, of course. Had to lift right and all those different things, and nutritional supplements helped. But that was that. So the nice thing is this, though. If you are on a hypocaloric diet and it's higher protein, you have less likelihood for cancer as well. So that's what everybody shares with you. I'll do a whole separate podcast on the reason why, but it has to do with anabolism versus catabolism. So if you are basically on a weight loss diet and more of your diet's protein, you don't get as many of the detrimental effects most likely because you're catabolic, not anabolic. There's not as much nutrients for all these things inside your body to grow. You don't want to be in that spot for too long. Eventually you reach your weight loss goals and you level back out to, and again, a more balanced diet. And I'm not saying this is the only thing that you can eat in your diet, but I'm saying if you're not starting here, it may be why you're not getting the results you're looking for. Now, how do you balance all that then? How do you balance, some of these protein-based foods with some antioxidants, anti-inflammatories? And again, you can have vegan-based proteins, no problem at all, right? No problem at all. Most of those are going to come with fiber, right? That's the interesting thing about them, right? So they're going to better control blood sugar there. But you have your chicken or fish or whatever it might be, and you add asparagus or broccoli or salad, whatever it is that you want to eat with it. Here's what happens. And I'm going to bring you direct studies on this as well. They've found that many of the detrimental effects of just doing straight meat are countered and balanced by eating high antioxidant, high ORAC value vegetables. Really interesting. None of the carnivore people tell you this, right? Although all these carnivore people seem to be coming back to the other side, right? A little bit more moderate. Oh, I eat fruit now. Okay, how did that? Because if you're a carnivore, you don't eat fruit because your intestines are not breaking down fructose. So, again, like what are we saying here, right? Where it's all a game. It's just marketing for most of these people. But again, if we look at it from an unbiased perspective, I have no problem with fruit, but we're just not starting there, right? We can get our antioxidants, we can get our fiber, we can get our blood sugar balancing from veggies. And again, this is what we use in our Fatlocity system. It works incredibly well. We've been doing it since, 2004, right? So it's been a long time. So that's what I wanted to share with you is that if you combine your proteins with fiber as well, you get the anti-inflammatory, you get your antioxidants, you're balancing your protein, and even if you're eating a good amount of protein at that meal, when you add more fiber, which is your cruciferous vegetables or high nutrient, low density, low calorie vegetables, they're not going to spike blood sugar. You balance the protein and you balance the glucose spike that you might get from eating, 40, 50 grams of protein at a sitting. And I'm not saying you should do that, but what I'm saying is it's going to help to balance that if you're eating that protein along with high fiber-based vegetables. So this is why what we used to call back in 2004 a leans and greens diet. What does leans mean? Lean meat, lean fish, etc. The fish doesn't have to really be lean. It can be like salmon and those types of things, wild salmon. But if you're having them with vegetables, what does it do? Well, it works incredibly well for body transformation, balancing blood sugar, helping with overall healthy levels of inflammation, and pretty much everything else that you can think about. But if you're getting bloated from it, again, it's a digestive issue. You either have weak stomach acid, or you have candida overgrowth, you have bacterial overgrowth like SIBO, or you have H. pylori. It's typically not going to affect parasites in that same way. Parasites are a different story. So what do you want to do? Well, if those things happen, you just want to take what's called a bacteria and parasite stool test. You can run it. There's one at stephencabral.com/labs, or you can run it with your own practitioner. And that's going to be incredibly helpful to figuring out why you get bloated when you eat. But I'm telling you right now, if you are looking at a diet plan and it's like, oh, it's the grapefruit diet, it's the bread lovers diet, it's the eat all you can want, carb lovers, pizza diet, whatever it is, just be careful. Like, it's not a good starting point. It's a fun marketing-based diet, but not a great starting point. This right here has been proven over the years to be the foundation. And then again, I give all of this away for free. But inside of what we do for weight loss at least is, okay, so for the first 3 weeks, you're not doing any fruit, but you're doing this diet, right? You're doing this diet. You still get healthy fats in. I have no problem with that. And then you are balancing your body, like on the 7-day functional medicine detox, or ideally the 21-day functional medicine detox. You can find out more about that at stephencabral.com/detox. Honestly, in my opinion, number one thing that you can do for your health. It's as the foundation. You don't end there. You start there, right? Then what happens is then you say, okay, I'm going to add in a cup of wild blueberries with breakfast. Okay, put that in our smoothie now. What do? How do we react to it? Are we still losing the weight? Are we still feeling better? Are we still feeling energized? Right? Are we? If the answer is yes, great, then we're doing well. Then what can we do? Well, we can start to then add in maybe some sweet potatoes or some root vegetables at lunch. So there's a tapering effect. And you see how things go as you begin to move them in. I'm going to be doing a lot more shows about this as well. But I'm going to keep it at that here today. And the reason is that I want to make sure that you just take away this one thing. That if you look at your nutrition plan, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or if you're only doing 2 meals a day, what do those look like? And if they're not centered around a satiating protein and high fiber at that meal, look for 10 grams or more of fiber at a meal, and look for, well, whatever you need in terms of your protein for the day. It might be 25, it might be 30 grams per meal, it might be more. Again, I'm not telling you exactly how much to eat at that meal. Could be 40 grams. I don't know your weight. I don't know your goals. But if you do those things, and that's the basis of your meal, and then you might add on a little bit from there, some olive oil, some avocado, great. So then that's your next piece to the meal, right? Some healthy fat. But don't replace your good quality protein or your good quality fiber with that fat, because I don't believe that in the long run, it's an add-on. It's going to be the foundation of what you want for staying satiated, keeping your muscle on, the tone of your body, the strength of the immune system, and the blood sugar regulation to the same degree. So hopefully today's show was helpful as always. If you feel it was, please do feel free to share it with anybody else you believe could serve. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing rest of the day.